the Built for These podcast number 9. I believe this is number 9. And this is Mark Shea. You are owner of Competition LED, co-driver Sean Holch Racing. Is that how you pronounce it?
Sean Halleck.
Halleck?
Halleck.
My God, I've been saying Holch. And everybody I say it to knows who I'm talking about. Okay, Sean Halleck Racing. That sounds so much better.
Yep.
Oh, God. Oh, I guess we got to promote that name a little bit more. And you are now the owner of a new business called Racer Prep?
Yes.
Or is that just the name of the Facebook?
Yep. Nope,
It's called Racer Prep.
Yep.
Okay. All right, man. Well, let's see. How did I meet you? Well, I met you like most people that I interview in this podcast, in the woods.
Yep.
Driving over shit. Before we get into details and stuff about Racer Prep and Competition LED, so you do Competition LED full time now?
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy. So between that, racing with Sean, which you guys have a decent racing program at this point.
Yep.
And now you started Racer Prep. What, in a short story, I guess, how have you gotten to this point where you're this deep into off-roading that you decided to go all in with manufacturing parts, which is huge, but also, everything else as far as racing King of the Hammers with Sean and all around here in Kentucky and all that? How'd you start?
Well, I was involved in racing for a long time. I actually did a lot of snowmobile racing, grass drags and ice drags and stuff like that for years. So I've always been around competition, spent, the better part of my life at racetracks. So it was something that, that's something racers understand. You have your family, your actual, brothers or sisters and parents and things like that. But racers kind of have a different family, and that's the racing family that you see every weekend. Couple of weekends a month, or at least once a month, and it's everybody is there. Yeah, you're competing against everybody, but at the end of the day, everybody's there enjoying the same thing that you are. And the passion's there, the competition's there, but at the end of the day, you sit down, you shoot the shit, have a hamburger or whatever, and tell stories, and well, if I did this, I did that, whatever, and it's always fun, and it's ends up being a close knit group of friends. It's amazing. You can go to races anywhere in the country, and all of a sudden you're there with all the same exact people you saw 3 states away 2 weeks ago. It's pretty incredible, that whole end of it. So I was a lead electrician in a company. We built broadcast vehicles, did a lot of work with mobile electronics over the years, kind of forever. So it was one of the things. It's something that I've always had a passion for, is the electrical end of stuff. And with racing, one of the things when I started racing with Sean that I really got into was lighting and what quality lighting is, and being in the car, especially at night races, or some of the racetracks like at Line Mountain, where you're in a field at noontime and it's nice and bright and sunny, and then you dive into the woods that's a full canopy and it's dark. It's having lighting on the car, even in the middle of the day on a nice bright sunny day, does make a difference, does give you an advantage. So it's something that being involved with Sean with the racing, we started racing all over the country. We raced King of the Hammers out in California. We raced down at, we followed the Ultra 4 series, so down at Dirty Turtle, down in Kentucky, a lot of different places. We ran the Line Mountain series down in Pennsylvania, AWRCS all over, and it started to become difficult to have your regular 9-to-5 job and race at that level and try to be competitive at that level. we spend, a ton of hours on the race cars, constantly prepping and maintaining and always looking for that little edge, but it all takes time. So having a regular 9 to 5 just didn't fit in with trying to accomplish that. So one of the things I got involved in was the lighting, and ended up working with a fantastic engineer that understands the goal of what I'm trying to do. That's his specialty is, he's a mechanical engineer specializing in optics and things like that. So, and then I have a manufacturer that, builds the lights to all of my specs, or, whatever chip that I choose and things like that. So it all works out. I'm able to, the 9 to 5 didn't fit the bill where, owning competition LED, I put in way more than 40 hours a week, just not during 9 to 5. It's typically, 10 to 7 or 8, dealing, I have customers all over the country. So being on the East Coast, I have a lot of customers out in California. So that 5 o'clock for them is 8 o'clock out here. So, my days typically start a little bit later, but end a little bit later. But it also gives me the freedom when it comes time that we need to go to a race, or, if we're working on the car till 2 in the morning, well, I don't have to be at work for 6. So it's
you already are at work.
Exactly. As soon as my eyes open, if that phone rings, I'm working. Yeah. So, but also, as much time as that all takes, and as much effort as it takes to run a business, being involved in a business that puts me right smack in the middle of off-road racing and even just off-road, the recreation end of it, which I have my YJ that I did for a while and always enjoyed four-wheeling. I love
that wasn't your first rock crawler, was it?
Yep, it
really?
It was, but it evolved. Started on 32s, 33s, 35s, 37s, right to 39s, all within, I think, a year and a half, 2 years.
Oh, no. That's a lot. I thought you were about to hit me with the 10 years. Like 10 years. That sounds like a 10-year project. Wow. That just means you had a lot of friends surrounding you with their terrible influence.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, man. That thing was pretty slick before you got rid of it.
I still have it.
Oh, I thought you sold it.
No.
You tried.
I sold the tires and a few key items on there, but I still have it. I don't think I'll ever get rid of the entire rig. Yep.
You ever gonna put it back together?
Oh yeah.
Or just let it sit there?
Yep. No, I sold a few items that a couple of guys that I wheeled with were looking for some specific stuff. So sold some of those parts, and but it's direct replacements. I can call tomorrow and order exactly what I had on the car, and it'll be exactly like it was when I stopped wheeling it. So.
I haven't seen that thing out in years. Since you got real busy with competition LED, I feel like I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Right?
Racing with Sean.
Yeah, well, those go hand in hand,
and then
though.
I was about a year in racing with him when I started competition LED.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy, man. I really thought, usually people with a vehicle like that had a few vehicles before they got to that level. I mean, that thing was tubed out. That thing's tubed out.
Yep.
You got 1 tons, right?
No, it's still got the crazy, the axles that no one will ever believe will ever work.
Those have Jeep. It has Jeep axles.
It's got a 488 in the rear, and it's got a Spider 9 with a True High 9, but Dana 30 outer knuckles in the front.
Why wouldn't those? You know what? If you're hanging out with people that are telling you that those won't work, you don't need to hang out with those people.
Yeah.
Those are fine. As long as you drive accordingly, those are fine.
I wheeled them on reds, 39-inch reds for 6 years.
I witnessed. I've been wheeling and seen you at Ma Bell with that thing, and at Munson, I definitely didn't think it had anything less than 1 tons.
Yep.
But that's great. That's good to hear.
Yep.
That's good to hear. That's nice. It's nice to hear something different like that. I wish I didn't have 1 tons at this point, but it's whatever. Oh man. So that pretty much brings you to that. Let's see here. What are we talking about? All right. Well, let me just give my opinion about competition LED, I guess, and then I really want to get into racer prep. That's what's really good.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that, man. So, I don't know if it's gonna pay off or not, but I try to be thorough with all my vendors and really do my research before, as you know, before I start selling products. Some people, it kind of freaks them out, but it did not freak you out, and you took the time to meet me, and we hung out for maybe 3 hours that night. You guys were prepping the cars for King of the Hammers, I believe. And you showed me everything, the ins and outs of everything about your lights, the differences between all of the different models of pods and light bars, and how you get it manufactured. And the product really is amazing. It's very good. I have 2 driving pods on the front of my shop truck, which is the Ranger outside. It's low. They're like 5 inches off the ground. I drove them all winter like that. Salt, never washed them. I washed them off the other day. There's not a hint of moisture or damage from salt behind the lens or in front of the lens. Nothing. They're great. They're way too much for driving. I got the relay wired to my high beams. So when I turn my high beams on, bang, they come on.
Right, and it lights up.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's awesome. It's really nice driving with those. So I got your rock lights as my directionals on my Jeep. I think I've sold a light bar to a customer, 2 more pods. I put the 120 degree pods on a sander, my landlord's sander. It got just abused all winter. Wiped them off. They're beautiful. With that sodium, that blue stuff that are in sanders
nasty.
now. But
the calcium and
they're great. They're
the
fine,
chemicals.
man. So your product's great, but what's important is like, you took the time to meet me and stuff like that. Every time I need anything, you're always right there, giving me more than I need. We talked about before we started how people are always asking you crazy questions, and sometimes I feel like that, but you answer everything I need every time, and it's nice. You go buying some big LED company, you're not going to even talk to a human. You're going to be, drop an email here in your contact info. We'll get back to you. It's like, well, I'm installing it right now. I kind of need help.
Exactly.
This customer's on the other line. They want to warranty something. I need you. I need you.
Right.
Not that I had anybody that needs to warranty anything with you, but I'm just saying, if they did, you'd be right there. I love it, man. It's great.
Well, and I enjoy, I love what I do. I'm lucky to be in a business that I actually love. I never say, I hate customers. Someone calls me, usually they're on the phone way longer than they expected than I am, because I just, if somebody has a question on an application, I spend a lot of time, and sometimes they don't know exactly what they need. So it takes a little bit to figure out, are they using it on the street? Are they using it in the woods? Are they using it in the desert? Is it a crawling rig where, they'll never see 30 miles an hour? Is it a race rig where, they're out in California, or they're running Baja, or they're running King of the Hammers, and they're out there and they're going to be doing 80 plus out in the desert. It's a different application for each one of those situations. So, and I get a lot of feedback. I have some great racers that I sponsor through Competition LED, and I get awesome feedback from those guys, and they really help me continue to develop the product. Larry from CLS Racing was out at Vegas to Reno, and he was running my lights, and he had a full light package on there, and he was running the standard clip-on amber covers like most everybody else sells and everybody else uses, and it dropped the output of the light considerably, which on the East Coast, when we're racing out here, that amber helps in the dust, and it's not a big deal because you might have a 1,000-foot straightaway. You never have a half-mile straightaway. Everything's so tight in the woods. So I didn't have that, in the seat experience to see how much loss we were getting from that, like what Larry was getting.
What was the difference? He was getting silt buildup or what?
No, the amber itself was cutting down the light output significant enough that it was really affecting the performance of the light.
Wow. Yeah, see, I have those and I don't notice any difference
around here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe if it got a contaminant in there somewhere, it would be a difference, but just I didn't notice a difference.
Yeah. So I was talking with him and Kevin Spangler, another racer, and we were going back and forth. Kevin, like you, he's got a shop, fabricator, and also races. He's out in the Midwest. So, we were looking at different things. So what I did was I tested it, and I use a lux meter to test everything because that really gives me real numbers when I'm looking at what the light does, just like a photographer would use. You turn the light on and it gives you a number of what the light's producing. So I used that, set up one of the pods without the amber cover on it. I set the meter away, so I was about 100,000 lux. Clipped on the amber cover, dropped it to 28,000.
Wow.
So it was
70-something%.
Yeah, 72% loss in light output.
Wow. To the human eye.
Huge.
To the human eye. Well,
Yep.
my dumb eyes. Doesn't seem that bad.
Well, here, in the Northeast, we don't have highways that are,
We got
straightaways 5 miles long or 10 miles long. That's
true.
Outside of the Mass Pike, there isn't a straight road in this state. So
when I have those on, I'm on the back roads where there's no other cars, and that's only 40 feet.
Yeah,
that's true. Okay.
So because of his input and Kevin's input, I came out with a new solution to that called Desert Vision. It is more of a permanent fix on the light versus the clip-on covers, but the light you only lose about 22%. So the same test, from 100 thou, it only dropped it to 78 thou, as opposed to 28 thou. So you lose about 22%, which for that is acceptable. Because you are going to lose some output because you're putting a colored filter on there. But I worked with different colors, with different thicknesses, with different gradients of that color, and to try to get the best compromise all the way around to make it work in the dust when these guys are out desert racing that they're facing. And we put it to the test. The very first race that I had some of the racers out there, they were racing, it was the Pure 150 night race out in California, and I had 3 different teams running the brand new Desert Vision. Rob from Turn 4 Motorsports won the overall and first place in the turbo class. Mike at Desert Vets Racing won the naturally aspirated class, and Calculated Risk came in third for the naturally aspirated class. So
and good reviews.
I got 3 podiums with 2 of them in first place, and the overall, the first race that product was out on the market.
It must have been the lights. What did they say? Did they say huge improvement?
They loved it.
And all those guys ran the clip-ons before, so they had a full comparison.
They knew exactly what. 2 of the 3 did.
Yeah.
The third one, we did a full brand new light package. Yeah. And ran Desert Vision right from the start. So
that's awesome.
That was his first go, was right with that product. So,
all right. So I have no reason, but now I need a set.
Yep.
Honestly, at this point, with all the cheap lights that are out there and stuff, I'll do anything to not have that silver LED light look.
Yeah.
On the front of my Jeep. If it's orange, that'll be 100% better.
Yep.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear, man. But it's good to hear that you're putting in all that R&D, and that's a lot of work. If you even just the thickness of so you got the color of the lens, and then you got to think about just the thickness of that, because now that it's colored,
yep,
that takes it away. But you got to keep it a certain thickness for quality,
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yep.
That's crazy, man. Well, how many I was thinking about the other day, just yesterday, I think you made another post. It seems like every other day you make one, but how many cars do you have with your lights on them competing at this point? Have you kept track?
I did for a while.
Yeah.
But this over the last year now, well, I'm going into 2 years right now, and the start of it, I had the original 5. So I had Jordan White out in California. I have Jeff Brown, which races. So Jordan races a UTV. I had Adam Arsenault that races for Broadsword Racing, and he runs the 4500 class for Ultra 4 for King of the Hammers and those races. Also, Jason McIntyre from Foul Mouth Racing out there, he runs Dirt Riot West and Ultra 4, running King of the Hammers. Same class with Adam. And then I have Jeff Brown that races a 4400 car, brand new. When we put the lights on the car, is a brand spanking new Miller chassis.
That thing's beautiful. I remember
it is.
You uploaded pictures of that thing when you went down there to put the lights in, right?
Yep.
That thing was beautiful.
It's really impressive. The pictures don't do it justice. The car is incredible. And he ran his first season with that. He went from King of the Hammers to the Mint 400 to, he did the Triple Crown. The Ultra 4 had a Triple Crown series, which was those 2 races, and then Crandon for the short course race, on top of all the Ultra 4 East races and, Dirt Riot and some of the other, any race he could get the car into. So he had an incredible first year, and the car just, it performed awesome. The Mint was the first time that I was able to get my lights in a huge race, in such a giant race, at night, because he ran. They were in the big race in the afternoon, and he didn't finish till 1:30 in the morning in the pouring rain. It rained from like 6 o'clock at night
in the mid-400
right to the. It's like, it was like the 3rd time it rained in Vegas that year. It's just
oh man. Hey, but being an East Coast guy, probably had the upper hand. All right.
Oh yeah, it was like,
slick.
Yep, okay, yep, it's just like being at home.
Yeah, hit me with it.
Yeah, but he said it was, I was looking at some of these cars that were out there that were just plastered with a million lights all over it. And we took a very straightforward, I try to take more of a minimal approach, the right light to do the right job and the right amount of them, not just plaster the thing with lights all over.
Yeah.
Especially with, I have a lot of UTV racers. They just don't have the power system to handle. As efficient as LEDs are, you start loading enough lights on there and you're still going to overload the system. So.
And not only that, I was watching some Baja videos the other day, and what's it called, Class 11, when it's like the stock class of Volkswagens? Is it Class 11?
Yeah,
like
with the Volkswagen Bugs.
These guys were like,
God bless them.
They're like LED lighting is the best thing that ever happened to these things, because they don't have a charging system or anything.
They got the tiny little.
But they were like, actually, they're like, next year I got to take some of these lights off because it's actually it's blinding. It's too much. We couldn't see anything because of it. It was overloading it. We ended up pulling over and cutting like 3 or 4 wires in this big row of pods. It's like, it's crazy. You wouldn't think of that. Imagine 20 years ago saying that? You got to go get out and cut some lights because it's too much.
Yeah, back then you could never have enough lights on it.
Yeah. So that's a good example of too much for sure.
Yeah, Jeff had, a pair of the Race 8.5s and a 40-inch dual row.
Yeah.
That was all that was on the car. 3 lights on the car.
I thought you had like the 210 bars in the windshield. I thought I remember.
That's on Sean's UTV.
Oh.
Yep.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yep.
Yeah, that looks slick. I like that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, tucked inside the cage.
Yeah, that is
so
very
Jeff,
nice.
and then the last of the original 5 is Sean. It's, obviously I'm in the co-driver's seat, so it makes perfect sense that.
Which means he's the main test subject.
Yep. between my Jeep and his car, we've had every single light that I've either sell today or have tested, and trying different products, trying different different chips, different boards, different reflectors. It's everything ends up on one of those two cars or both. So it gets a full workout before anything.
Do you have a stash of lights that are like, don't show anybody those lights?
Not
did,
much.
I'm doing better now. I don't need those lights. You keep them lit up in your garage to
having a
remind
good
you.
engineer to start saves so much, and the technology with engineering now, with CAD and everything, it's amazing what they can do.
Take the specs of all these parts and you know what they're going to do, and generate it before you even put it together.
Yep.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's nice. What a world we live in now. That's awesome. So you obviously working with all these teams, you've been racing your whole life. This led you to obviously were people, I'm assuming people were probably annoying you, trying to get you to sponsor them, and that developed you to come up with something to help them? How did it come about, this race prep business?
So Racer Prep, I had, I talked to a lot of racers. I'm at the racetrack. When Sean and I come, during the race season, we're at the track a bunch of times a year. The first year, I think we raced like 18 races, just trying to put as much seat time in as possible, just to be in the car racing constantly. So you meet so many different people, and I had, some of the initial racers, I talked with. Right from the get-go, so I handpicked the first group myself. I knew those guys. I met those guys through different channels, whether I raced with them, raced against them, raced at the same tracks, or whatever. So it's the original group was more handpicked. Where after that, started working. As people started seeing the name and started seeing the lights and saw the fact that we were at racetracks and doing what we were doing, got a lot of interest there. So I had a lot of requests for sponsorship, and which, the big thing for me is, if you're a legitimate racer, let's do something, because I understand budgets of racing and understand, it's the big giant in the off-road racing at like the UTV level and even the 4400 level. There's still not a lot of giant corporate sponsorship going on with those cars, and especially corporate sponsorship outside of the actual market of off-road itself. You may have a big company, a big off-road parts company, sponsor a car, but you don't have like the big food brands or soda brands or stuff like that. There's not a lot of them jumping into a whole lot of cars. There's a few here and there, but it's not the norm at this point. So I get the fact that guys are limited in their budget, and and a lot of times, lighting is kind of secondary for a lot of them, because they're trying to get every horsepower and they're trying to get the suspension and those things. If the suspension isn't working and the drivetrain doesn't hold up, it doesn't matter what kind of light you have on the car if you can't get through the race. So the lighting becomes kind of secondary, but I have took a different approach with it. Have a great racer program for all the racers. Don't make them jump through hoops. I don't make them, I'll give you $10 off this year and maybe $50 off next year. And, how many lights do they have to buy before they get a real racer discount? So, I look, if they're a legitimate racer, I just put them right in the program. I have one racer program, and that's where we go. So, try to take care of the racers right from the get-go. and I invite them to, like any of my customers, if you have any questions at all of either what light you want, where you need to mount it, whatever, call me. I enjoy being able to talk about what I do and help people with their setup. So for me, it's a big deal for them to be successful. And if, Sean and I have proven that, having lighting even in the middle of day can be an advantage. So trying to pass that on to other racers, and which it's kind of twofold, because I sponsor a lot of people we compete with side by side, tire to tire, but don't want to give them all my tricks. But then again, they're representing competition LED too. So
well, the more you level the playing field, the more fun it is to race.
It is. Absolutely. Yep.
So say I'm a racer and I don't know anything about getting sponsors. I know enough that I built my own car. I've been out there racing, and I come to you with this new service that you got. What do you do for me? So what's the process you bring me through? Do you evaluate what I want, help me get there? What do you do?
Well, so just kind of backtracking a little bit, I kind of got off track a little bit there, but I started getting a lot of racers asking for sponsorship. And the first thing, like any other company, is, okay, well, do you have a resume? No, I don't. Okay, or yeah, I've got something, and they send me something, and it's kind of disorganized, and and okay, well, do you have a Facebook page? Do you have an Instagram page? What do you have for social media? You have to start asking a whole lot of questions, and some of these guys have that, and they do a very good job with it. One of my first sponsored racers, Jordan, I follow his lead most of the time on social media, because he's a master at it. So
some people are just naturals, man.
Yeah. But a lot of guys, it's hard. You spend every hour you work a 9-to-5 job, and then spend every spare hour in the garage trying to build a race car. Yeah. They don't have time to figure out social media and all that stuff. So I decided that, and I was trying to, get these guys, you want to get a resume going, and then they're like, well, all right, how do I do that? Where do I go? What do I do? And I looked, and there was a couple, and there is a couple of companies out there. But again, it seemed like the budget that it took to afford that was like another large expensive component on the car, and it just, so my goal, just like with my lighting, was to be affordable for people. Do something quality, get something that helps them out. So the first thing I do is I talk to them to see, the resume is really the biggest thing right from the get-go. So the first thing a company is going to ask, if you ask them for a sponsorship or ask them if they have a race program, is, sure, do you have a resume? So the first thing they need is that item. And, it's something that you want to have where it has all the big information. It shows all your social media links. It shows all your stuff. It shows your what you've done in the last year, what your other sponsors are, because sometimes that can make a big deal too. If you have a couple of big names for sponsors on there that's recognizable, or maybe it's something that a sponsor, a good friend is another sponsor, another company that's sponsoring the car already. So that really can help. But having it all on something that looks professional, looks catchy, has a certain look to it, has the right information on it, has all of that on there is really important. And that's something that I've done with snowmobile racing, back in, in the 90s, when a resume meant, getting good copy paper and and typing something out and putting and adding pictures to it, and then you'd stuck it in an envelope and mailed it. So
yeah, that's something I wanted to bring up so back in the day, so I rode a lot of BMX back in the day, and I was never good enough to need a sponsor or anything like that, but it always fascinated me, sponsoring and how it worked. So back in the day, and I'm sure it's the same in every industry, but this is just my experiences. You had to show, in order to get sponsored, you had to show your face places, in public places, events, place well, so people are paying attention to you, and you had to do it repetitively. You need to be able to show it. So it's like you had to get there, do what you're doing, do it well, and then you got sponsors.
Right.
So sponsors didn't really matter. So basically people would just look at you and say, well, he's going to do it whether I sponsor him or not, and he's going to do well, so here, I'm going to sponsor you. Right. So it was a lot easier for companies to sponsor people back then. Also, it was more cut and dry, but now social media has changed things. I mean, you can just be on social media and go wheeling every weekend and take pictures, or go wheeling once a month and take enough pictures for the whole month.
Right.
And if you're getting 2,000-3,000 likes on your pictures, well, people are going to want to sponsor you, and you're not even doing anything.
Right.
So it's a very interesting world that we are in now when it comes to getting sponsored. And it's so fascinating to me,
right.
how you get. And another thing too is back in the day with BMX, you would see these guys. There would be these kids that could do all these tricks. They'd be amazing. They'd do competitions, videos, and then there'd be a 300-pound dude on the team. And you'd be like, what? I don't understand. But that guy's on the road with them. He's a cool guy. He's everywhere, making sure everything's fun. Getting the name out there, and that's what it comes down to, is getting the name out there.
Right.
How you do it.
And that part was harder back in the day.
Yeah, now
because
you just gotta pick your road.
Yeah, I mean, when I was racing the snowmobiles, it was every issue of Snow Week that came out. You dug through the issue and you prayed that the promoter of the race sent them the results, so your name would be in the results in Snow Week. And it was, and that's all you would get. You would get this tiny little mention in each, in whatever class or classes you were racing.
Then photocopy that and send it to your sponsor. See, I did something.
And that's,
Wow, that's rough, man.
Yeah, you would fax it to your sponsors.
Yeah. I've never asked for any sort of sponsors until I started doing Truck Fest. And at that point, John had already been running Truck Fest, and I started helping him. And I said, I'll help you with sponsors. So I already had this product.
Yep.
And I realized how easy it was. When you had something to show, you call up and you say, listen, I got this event. This many thousand people come. This is what we do. This is the layout. And it's either yes or no. Yeah. Or no.
Yep.
Easy. Nice and easy. So I'm building my shop Jeep, and I'm almost done with it. And I don't look for. I want that thing to be blank, not a sticker on it.
Right.
Not even my sticker. But I stretched it 6 inches, and I need a custom soft top. I was just gonna buy one and have the local upholstery guy stretch it. Mm-hmm. But I've contacted Best Top twice now and asked them. Well, first of all, I just asked them for a quote. How much for a stretched soft top?
Yep.
It's only 6 inches. It's easy. No answer. Not even a quote. So then I'm like, okay, what about... So then I asked them. I said, what do you look for, if you sponsor somebody? I don't know how much a soft top company sponsors people, but...
Right.
I inquired about it. Nothing.
Right.
But I bet you if that Jeep was done, I put in a whole season of wheeling, got all these likes, it was on the internet, and then I asked them about it, I'd be hearing back.
Right.
So it's like you got to build it, do it anyways, then people want to jump on because they know they're going to get a return on their money. How do they know that my not done project yet's going to be done and they're going to get a return on their product?
Right. Well, and so right from the get-go, the first thing that a racer wants to have in his whole arsenal of tools to try to get sponsors is a resume. That's going to be the first thing the company asks is, well, do you have a resume, or are you on Facebook, blah blah blah. Well, your resume has all of that information. It has a good resume has everything, and it's not something you need to read through like a 3, 4, 5 page book. It's a single page, has it's like a hit list, has all the big details. If what you did for races this past season, the big races, if you have any championships, if you've been racing a long time, what your stats are, stuff like that. So that's all stuff that you really need on the resume, and that's the biggest thing. That first impact. They ask you for a resume, you send them something that looks clean, professional, has some style to it, has it makes you want to read through it. It's not a book. It's not something that's going to be boring to go through. It's like I said, kind of like a hit list, and you got everything right on there. It's really clear and easy. And then, because everything is nice and clean and nice and easy to see and read, if they want to look further in, they've got your Facebook page right there. They've got your Instagram right there. If they're interested from the first look, they have the ability to look further because you gave them all the information on that first item. So that's the biggest thing that I try to impress with the racers, and that's mostly what I do. I'd say the bulk of racer prep is doing resumes. And then I also do some websites for some of the racers. Colin Truitt has been racing now. He's a young kid. He's been racing for, going on, I think, 5-6 years now. His stats just blow your mind. He's raced 1 million races. He's been on the podium 1 million times. The kid can drive. So we've taken his his performance and everything to the next level. So not only does he have a resume, we've also built a website for him. So on top of the resume, now a sponsor can go to their website and see, okay, this is the last couple of races. They get to see more pictures. They get to see in-car camera action. They get to see some of the footage from the races. They get to see things a lot more in depth. And again, just like the resume, you've got a website. You click on that website and boom, you get to see all of this stuff. It's all laid out professional. It's all exciting. It's good, just a good layout, good presentation, without having to dig through 100 pages of just
mind-numbing numbers and
and reading some.
Yeah.
It's kind of quick and exciting. So somebody like that's another. It's the next step into getting into bigger sponsors and getting into stuff like that. And that's something that talking with him and his mother and father, Stephanie and Mitch, and that was one of the things. He can drive. The kid can race. He's fast. They know how to build a car. They know how to win races. The social media end of it, or the sponsor end of it, was the part that they were lacking. They weren't lacking in the performance in any bit. So this was a big step to help them push forward. They have a sponsorship with Polaris, which is huge. That's not.
Where are they from?
North Carolina. So it's not. That's not a. Polaris isn't an easy. They don't just hand out sponsors to anybody. You've got to be somebody doing something. And even without the resume and stuff, they were at least able to get their foot in the door with them. But now that they've stepped everything up, as far as the sponsor end of it for the exposure, to follow what they've already got for the performance end they've got. So, that's another thing that we work with teams to try to go that route. So, same thing with our own team with Sean Halleck. he takes care of the car. He's the driver. When it comes time to the final nut and bolt of the car before a race, he's the only one that goes around the car and checks every nut and bolt. Because he knows when he's in the car, if he feels something's going wrong, he knows what he checked, knows what he didn't check, knows what's going on, knows that somebody else didn't miss it. Well, while he's doing that, I'm taking care of the social media end and working with sponsors and trying to keep that part of the program going. So it works out really good for the both of us because that's what we both specialize in. And so we each take that role and just keep moving, keeping the team moving. So
yeah, I think that's a really good, I think that is a really good setup. Although you might feel obligated to help them with the car and things like that, and I'm sure obviously you help them with the car,
right,
obviously, but I'm saying the main setup of everything, how everything's supposed to be set up, every nut and bolt, knowing which bushing's supposed to be doing what, and him feeling it in the car, that is very important. If you hand that off to somebody else,
right,
you need to have someone doing that full time, total professional. That's all they do for you to trust them as a driver. So it's good that he's doing that all himself. And you're right, what you do is, it's so huge. It is so much work. So when I'm busy in the shop, for example, my social media is quiet.
Right.
But when I get some downtime, I start going through my hundreds of pictures I've been taking while I'm working, and I'm posting it, story this, story that, so it looks like I'm busy. So, and it'll generate phone calls. People say, "Hey, I know you're busy," but it's like, well, no, I'm actually open right now because I'm on my phone. When I'm busy, I'm in here for 12 hours wrenching and slipping in a picture when I can,
Right.
So it sounds simple to people that don't do social media as a business. It sounds simple. It's not. It is not. You got to sit down, think of the right hashtags, think of the audiences you want to target. It's a lot of work. So what you're doing it's really important, and a lot of people don't have the time to even look into it, never mind know how to do it.
Right.
So if you can guide them, show them what to do, show the people around them how to help them, like for instance that kid with his parents, try to get his mom taking pictures, his dad taking pictures.
And that part they've always done really good with. They've got a ton of GoPro video and stuff. They just didn't have a way to showcase it. That was really the big thing. Is they have a YouTube page, and they have Colin gets all the videos and stuff up all the time. They just didn't have a way to really showcase it as their own, which the website gives them that ability. So it's just and it's the social media end of things. It's like how things kind of progressed. I mean, back in when we started wheeling, when the internet was a big thing, everything was on the forum. You were on like Western Mass 4x4's forum. You weren't on their Facebook page. There wasn't one yet. So you found out about all the trail rides and everything from the forum.
Remember on Internet Explorer, all your favorite tabs, all the forums you would click on?
Exactly.
All your passwords were saved. You had to log in.
And that's kind of gone away. And and everything's gone to Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Twitter and stuff like that. But having your own website, it gives you, instead of having a potential sponsor have to chase down every page. Oh, I gotta type in on Facebook Truett Racing, I've got to type in on Instagram Colin Truett. Instead of having to go through all those individual things to chase that all down, they type in Colin
whatever.
Damn.
A name.
Colin, they type in TruettRacing.com and boom, brings up their website. If they want to go to the Facebook page, the link is right there. They click it. So if they want to look at all the YouTube videos, there are some on the website, and then they could also go to their YouTube channel right from there and see all the rest of them that they have. So it's sort of like the resume, where everything is centralized and organized and everything, and it's theirs. they don't have to rely on Facebook to do a good job of getting that information to the masses, or YouTube or anything like that. You go to their website, they have all the information right there. So it makes it easy. It just streamlines all of that, and it makes it just look that much more professional.
Yeah, and social media is great and everything, and it shows in detail, super detail. You know, you can almost live what people are doing through their social medias, which is great and everything. But the professional wise, a website, this is coming from a guy that doesn't have a website yet, but I think about it all the time. It's if you want to go somewhere specifically for that one thing.
Right.
And you want to look and see, like, I should have a website so people can, you can click on my page and see all the pictures of this crazy stuff I'm working on. But if you want to know what I'm 100% focused on and what I'm doing, I should have a website that has that laid out in a attractive, easy to navigate way.
Right.
And that's just me as somebody that's already a business, never mind someone that's trying to gain business.
Right.
Yep. In other words, sponsors. So that's a good move. That's awesome. I think that racing wise, one, you need to get out there and do it. You need to show your face.
Right.
You need to be doing it. If you want to get sponsored, I mean, you gotta have something to show.
Right.
If you're starting from scratch, your last name better be like, Gordon or Earnhardt, if you just want written off sponsors. But
I do have, and I do get that question. So I get some of the guys that, well, I've only raced 2 races this year. What do I need? A resume. Because the first company that you talk to try to get a sponsor, they say, do you have a resume? The first answer you can give them is yes.
And even if they've only attended 2, on that resume, say, I'm attending this event, I'm registered for this one, I'll be at this one.
Yep. This is my name, this is where I'm from, this is my Facebook page, this is my vehicle, this is the sponsors I have now, this is the race that I just raced, these are the races that I'm going to, things like that.
Why I want you as a sponsor specifically.
Right. At least at that point, you don't need to have 15 years of racing and all these, at least to get your foot in the door and at least the big thing is you're trying to start a conversation with a company to develop a relationship and go from there. So that's really the biggest thing is that resume helps start a conversation. So the guy sees that, okay, well, this guy only went to 2 races or whatever, but again, the first question he asked you, you were able to say, yes, let me send it to you, and that's the resume. So he sees that, all right, well, he hasn't done a whole lot of racing yet, but he's taking it serious, and he looks professional, even without, he's got 2 results here. He ran 2 races, and boy, he's got this nice professional, he's prepared. He's looking to go somewhere, not just, hey, send me some free stuff, and I'll put it on the car, and I guess maybe I'll go to a race. Which happens, unfortunately, more often than not. So.
And whether or not they mean to, most of the times, the way people word putting any sort of request forward about a sponsor feels like that to, as a company. Right. If unless it's super professional, like you're saying, like you're helping these guys get ready for. Unless they gave you something to say otherwise, you're just like, is this just another parts grab,
Right.
Even as a business, dealers, I'm trying to become a dealer for some, and I think you did the same thing. You looked into my social media and stuff like that. Yep. I've had companies that say, listen, I need to make sure that all your pictures are in the same building. I'm like,
right.
Really? They're like, yeah, we may even ask you to take a video of the building.
Yep.
And that it's yours. I'm like, man, there's that many people out there scamming them.
Well, exactly.
Just to get a deal on parts.
Yep.
That's bizarre.
And that's why, for Competition LED, to be a dealer, I protect my dealers. I have, specific pricing so that I don't have dealers on top of each other, number one. But even if I did, because of the pricing policy that I have, everybody's protected from each other. I don't want one guy that, he'll give the light away for nothing to get an axle job, because it doesn't help the guy down the street trying to sell the lights, and it doesn't, it's stuff like that's tricky. And like for you, it's easy for me because I live close enough. I can roll in and take a look at your shop. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're open for business.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Which you did. You came down.
I've got, yeah.
With my first order of lights.
Yep. But I mean, I've got dealers across the country. I don't have the ability to just hop on a plane and go check out the dealership and see if they actually exist.
Yeah.
It's
So I'm sure you've given that same speech to other people. I need to see the shop. You know, I want to see that you're,
Yep.
you know, getting projects done. I need to see your retail area.
Yep.
Who did I apply for?
Well,
the
and
other day?
first thing I do is I go right to their social. I go look, see if they have a website, and then see if what they have for social media. And usually you can figure that out pretty quick, right off the get-go, what's going on, and just by what they're posting.
Rough Country. I was applying for Rough Country, which I stopped doing. I have no desire to follow through with that paperwork. But
Yep.
they wanted pictures of my retail area, my storefront,
Yep.
street view of the building, all that stuff. I thought I was like trying to get money from the mafia. It's like, man, how many people have screwed these guys over? This is rough. This is rough.
Yep.
So that's awesome. So these people, I've seen it pop up. I've seen other people. I'm not even, you know, the way Facebook works. Someone
Yep.
shares something that has to do with your business. It shows up on my news feed, and there's people sharing it. It's pretty cool. I hope people. Have you gotten a lot of action on it, and people are inquiring with you?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
To get stuff done. That's cool. Do you have like different levels of stuff you do for people, or is it just get your resume done?
For the racer prep end of it,
Yeah.
the racer prep, the most important thing is the resume, and it doesn't matter if you've been in one race or 100 races. If you don't, the first question you're going to be asked is, do you have a resume? The first question, the first thing that you can answer, if it's a yes, you're already on the right track. So that's the most important thing. And like I said, that's really the first go-to. You hand them a resume that's done properly. It has everything on it that will answer 80 or more % of the questions that would follow. Do you have a resume?
So now the next level up from that, do you offer to help people build sites, or you just guide them on it?
No, I build the sites for them. So basically, I do resumes, and then I'll also do. So the next step, usually when you're working with a sponsor, is you start out with a resume. You know, like I said, that'll be the first thing they ask, and then you start having a discussion with them about. I do help them for the guys that don't have a separate race page on Facebook versus their personal page. You know, if you're going after a big name sponsor, well, they don't care what you had for supper tonight. They want to see what you did at the race this weekend. So having a specific race page versus your personal page is huge. And you don't even want to, on the resume, you don't even want to have your personal page listed on there because they don't care. They want to see how you're going to promote their product and be an ambassador for their brand. So having the race page is big. So I always talk with them a lot about at least having the right pieces to put on the resume. So if they don't have a Facebook page for their race team, it's like, all right, well, start one. It takes you 5 minutes. Get one on there, start loading pictures, start getting information, start posting results, just get one started, get one going, and that helps in the whole. That's some of the important things that you need to list on the resume. So, you know, if they don't have all those little pieces that fit into the resume, I make sure that they get that going.
So this is a two-sided question.
Yep.
Sponsors, and mostly big ones, but I know it. So me, I have customers. I'll do a big job for a customer, and I'll
Yep.
knock $200 off of it, and I'll say, hey, listen, I know they're going to an event. I say, hey, take pictures while you're there, tag me in it,
Yep.
and knock $200 off the bill. that's my way. I'm not sponsoring that person. That's just my way of, reeling in. And to them, I don't know if they see it or not, but that gets me business.
Right.
That $200 I knocked off got me another $1,000 job.
Right. That $200 would just like spending $200 on a newspaper ad.
So,
but only directed exactly at your crowd.
So, sponsors. Do you run into sponsors having a requirement of social media activity, and at the same time, do you guide people with the content that they're doing in order to become attractive to sponsors? Like hey man, buy a GoPro.
Right.
Doing car footage. Do self videos talking about the car and prepping it and stuff like. Do you guide people with that? And do sponsors require that? Any of them? Have you heard of that?
Sponsors definitely require that. Absolutely. They want their name. They want you to be tagging their name on social media, on all your posts. And there's different ways of doing posts. Like, on the flip side, when I'm doing stuff for Sean Halleck Racing versus Competition LED. So for Sean Halleck Racing, I'll do some posts that will list every one of our sponsors. And then I also do some posts, especially like before King of the Hammers or before when we're building a new car. As we get the new products in, I'll take pictures of that specific product, and I'll do a post geared directly at that product that's going on the car. So, for instance, if we get the trailing arms in, I'll do a post on the Super ATV trailing arms. I'm not going to mention even my own lights, the Competition LED lights, because this post is geared for Super ATV to draw attention to their specific product. And then some posts, which will be like a general picture of the car at the race or at the finish line or whatever, those posts will do an alt tag and talk about everybody, because that's when, if we accomplish something, we win a race or whatever, then I tag everybody involved. So you basically have two different kinds of posts as far as that sort of stuff. Things that'll attract the individual company, and then things that will attract people to the team and the companies that support the team overall.
Man, it's so funny. Running a business, there's so much stuff that you got to do and that's on your mind. But everything that you just said is constantly on my mind. Constantly. Yep. When I'm installing a part, I think to myself, all right, I need to take a picture of this part before it goes in. I want to take a picture of it over here so you can see the vehicle, or over here on the workbench, and but it's got to be before I put it in, and then after I put it in, I got to take a picture too. How am I going to post this? Is it going to be a slideshow? Should I make a video? It's like, aside from running a business, you're also thinking of that.
Right.
So that goes back to your and Sean's arrangement. He doesn't have to worry about any of that shit.
Right.
That's good. That's very good. It's a lot of work, man.
And he'll laugh. Like, we'll be driving home. We'll finish a race like down in Kentucky or Tennessee or something, and we got 15 hours to drive.
That's good. That's good, solid time.
He'll be driving, and it's funny. He's every once in a while he'll take a picture, because I'll be sitting in the passenger seat. I'll have my laptop open, my iPad open, my phone on, pad and paper, and I'm like buzzing across all the different, social media and everything else like that. And it's, and he's like, it's funny, because it's just, we're sitting in the truck coming home, and, and it's just two totally different tasks, but it's all
the next job starts when you get out of the race car.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny. It's so crazy. I'll work all day, and then in the morning I'll come in here early, 5:30 in the morning. I'm just sitting here drinking coffee on my phone, getting a post ready.
Yep.
And I'll have customers. I'll totally go crazy and build someone's truck or something, and they'll ask me like, "Hey man, why didn't you upload any pictures?" I'm like, well, I'm like 5 jobs behind. I'll post it in a few days, man, and it ends up being like 2 weeks later I post a picture of it, and they're like, wow. It's like, my phone's just loaded with projects that I gotta, upload and tag and all that.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's a whole nother game to do that stuff.
Right.
It's crazy.
Well, and I had another job this year with the Racer Prep. That with that side of what I do, with actually our major tire sponsor that we have for the race car with MRT Tire. So I was out at King of the Hammers this year. We didn't get to race it this year, but I was out there doing media for Motor Race Tire. So I'm still working on I'm basically putting together a full documentary of all the teams. We had 14 teams out there at King of the Hammers racing MRT tires.
Is that just side-by-side tires?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. They are getting into the full-size market. I'm actually running their 33s on my Jeep.
Oh, yeah, that's
yep.
right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. And
Are they retailing those yet?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And they're also coming out with a 35 and 37 in I believe it's a 17 and 20 inch, going after, the truck market. So
I got some chopped up Nittos out there that I would love to not use.
Yep.
So what were you doing at King of the Hammers for them?
So basically, I was doing video coverage. I partnered up with Phil Casper, and he's a photographer. Then he's covered the Ultra 4 events. Typically, I'm in the race car, so I don't get to do this part of coverage. So, I took video footage of, qualifying. We interviewed the teams, footage during the race, the whole 9 yards.
Did you get into the pits?
Oh yeah, we were everywhere.
That's the best part for me. I love
Yeah.
that. I love watching pit footage of, everyone scrambling, trying to get stuff done.
Yep.
The crazy stuff that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
And, but still, editing and sorting through. I mean, I had I had one GoPro on, you weren't allowed to stand on any of the outside corners. So I took one of my GoPros, turned it on, and put it on the Jersey barrier. And it filmed the 118 UTVs leaving the starting line.
Wow.
From start to finish,
so it was
non-stop.
So it was in a spot that didn't get roosted with dirt.
Right.
Otherwise, it would.
But what I had to do was take that, hour and a half's worth of footage and chop out the 14 racers out of that footage. It's just the mass amount of footage that I got. I think I just on the GoPro, just on the 7 that I have, I think I had over 250 gigs of data just for that camera.
Isn't that fun though?
And I have 5 cameras.
I love chopping up video and stuff. That's the best.
It is. It's extremely time consuming.
What program do you use? Adobe?
Corel.
Okay.
Yep. The new Studio, the 2019 Pro Studio.
I love that stuff. Well, again, from the BMX days, I love making videos, man. It's
Yeah.
so fun.
Yep.
So it takes a lot of time though. It takes a
Yes.
lot of time.
Yeah. If you want to just kill hours of time, just sit down and start working on that.
It's cool though, because it's not like you're on the internet doing something or reading.
No.
You're zoned in. You're doing something.
Right.
It's cool. Playing it back, clipping it, playing it back, clipping it. You know, realizing you clipped it too much and you have to reload the whole clip. That's cool.
Yep. And one of the things that we did out there, we also did a tire test, a run flat test. Actually, because he's wanted to kind of twofold. One, prove the performance of the tire and the durability of the tire, but also looking at the military market, because the tires are so indestructible. The sidewalls on the UTV tires are all Kevlar, so they take so much abuse. So he was looking at that. So we did the mil spec tire test where there was 1,240 pounds of payload in the back of the car. We pulled the valve stem on the front left and the right rear on the car and drove it for 30 miles.
Oh my God.
At speed, in the desert, in the whoops.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Were
you giggling the whole time?
Oh yeah, we were in a chase car behind him, so we were getting footage. as you know, towards the end of it, the with the tire being so flat, it was throwing rocks. I mean, it was plastering. It was like, you know, throwing golf ball rocks at us the whole time.
That's funny.
It was trying to get close enough to get footage, but far enough away to stay out of the roost. It was brutal.
Did it get damaged, and how far in did it get damaged?
The tire?
Yeah.
It survived the whole thing.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yep.
Oh, that's funny. It was nice and broken in at that point.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Nice and soft.
Yep.
That's sweet, man. I gotta get out there. I'd like to get out there this year. Not with a vehicle, but I just want to go.
Oh, it's amazing.
It'd be cool.
It's
I mean,
such a blast.
I would. The only way I would send my vehicle is if somebody I knew was already going with a 3-car trailer, and I just had to pay them to throw it on the back.
Yep.
That's the only way I'm taking a vehicle out there. There's no way I'm towing out there. You guys are nuts.
It's-
You did it in like exactly what Google Maps says it is.
Yeah.
I remember that. You guys drove nonstop.
51 hours nonstop, only stopping for fuel.
That was crazy.
Yep. It was 2,997 miles.
Wow. You placed really well too. Was it 14th?
16th the first year.
16th?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember. I
Yep.
was like, wow, that's incredible. And that was, that's early in the season. No, late in the season.
Yeah, February.
That's early in the season.
Yep, beginning first race.
Yeah, so that was
Yep.
that was incredible. And then you guys, that was your big season, right?
That was, well, we started, so we went out as spectators the year before,
Yeah.
and we started building the car in April following that. So a couple of months after King of the Hammers, we started building the car
Yeah.
and just started racing that whole first season.
Also, your big season was before you went to King of the Hammers.
Yes.
Yeah, because I just
And
remember
then-
every weekend, man. It was like, wow, what do these guys do anything else, man?
Nope, not that first year.
Yeah, that was incredible. So it looked fun though.
Oh, it
Fun.
was
That
a
was
blast.
sweet. That was cool.
Yep.
What do you got? Anything else you want to say about racer prep?
No, I think that kind of covers most of it. I mean, it's, again, my big goal for it is to work with the racers and make it. For me, it's not even like with Competition LED. Yes, it's a business. Yes, I mean that is what I do. That's my business. That's my career. But I love being involved in the racing and the wheeling and every part of it. It doesn't matter if I'm out at Marbell or whatever and there's somebody, wheeling in the trails and just having a good time, or if we're at a racetrack and racing with everybody, or guys that are racing, and especially like a lot of the teams out west, I don't get to do that. But talking to them, I'll talk to Mike from Desert Vets Racing on Tuesday or Wednesday after a race, and to still hear the excitement from him about how he did in the race and all of that. It's really cool because it's such a passion with all of that. It's just awesome to be involved in that. And with Racer Prep, that was also the same goal. Was, I'm not out to be a millionaire on the backs of all these racers. I'm more happy to help these racers and help them succeed and be even just a little part of that. That's just cool for me. I just love it. I mean, I could spend every waking moment at a racetrack somewhere in the world. I would have no problem with that.
Yeah, with me, I think about like why, and I don't think I was totally focused on this when I did this business, but now I realize, probably truly why I went off on my own and did this business. It says I'm using what I know how to do to make my life fully involved with what I love doing,
Right.
which is off-roading. And now I don't get to go out as much as I want to and all that stuff, but I'm building all these trucks that are in the woods all the time, and I see all these guys are sending me pictures and stuff like that, and I'm just making my whole life about it, about
Right.
what I love doing. And that's what you're doing, but you've sent
Yep.
it in 3 different directions. You're racing, you're doing the engineering and the electrical stuff, and now you're helping racers with their publicity. It's like you literally are you're turning everything you love into a business. That's good though. It's fun. That's great. Well, 3 weeks from now? No, 2 weeks from now. 3 weeks from now. I should know the answer to that. I'm going with Greenleaf, and we are racing for the first time at Roush Creek at Dirt Riot.
Dirt Riot. We'll be
Yeah.
there.
Will you?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yep.
With Sean?
Yep.
Yes!
We'll actually be there
Friday.
with the good fleet of cars, because it started out in the beginning where it was just Sean and myself racing his 1000, and
Wait, are you going to tell me about this new whip I'm seeing?
then
On the internet? Go ahead.
so
Tell me.
it's progressed into one of the series popped up in Maine, which was UTV Rallycross, which is now UTV Rally Rush for this year, and they had a decent sized series up there this past year. Well, one of the big things is his father actually raced circle track back in the days of
Sean's father?
Yep, Westboro and Riverside and all of that stuff. And he wanted to get him involved, and he wanted to get his wife involved as well, because Alicia's been wheeling with him as long as they've been together with the comp buggy and the Rubicon and everything else. So she's been in it right from the start too. Hasn't been able to go to the races. It's with some of the distance that we traveled, it's been Sean and I pack everything into the truck. We first night usually at the racetrack we're staying at Hotel F350, and
Yeah.
it's not exactly the most awesome family experience. It's sort of it is what it is to get to be able to race. But he got I co-drove with both his father and his wife Alicia at the first race up for the main series this year. So Ed raced the first half of the race, and then Alicia raced the end of the race. Actually, we finished second at the end of it all. So
That sounds like so much more fun than just driving around with your buddy.
yeah,
Might as well just have the whole family there. That sounds like so much fun, man.
yep.
At the end of the
So-
day, though, you probably don't even give a damn about the racing. You're just sitting there hanging out with your whole family, race cars and shit.
Yep. So now we have the 1000, which we started racing in, and that poor car has just been just a champ. It's raced every single race we raced in before he bought the turbo, and it has pre-run every race after that, because we don't pre-run with the turbo, we pre-run with the 1000. So the 1000 has done every single race mile that the turbo has, plus its previous life. The turbo gets a little pampered. It only has to perform for the race. It doesn't have to do anything else. Well, at the level that the turbo is at, to race these guys at the top level of Ultra 4 and Pro UTV and all of that, it took away the ability to go to some of the different races and some of the smaller races. So that car is very specific built. So, now I'm in, like when we go to Maine, I was in the car for 2 hours with Sean's wife and his father in the sportsman's class, and then 3 hours with him in the turbo for the pro class. So now we're kind of splitting it up a little bit. He actually just got an RS1 Polaris single seat. He's going to run that at some of the different races where we don't need the turbo. So we can keep the expense down. The turbo is expensive to maintain and expensive to keep that car at that level, it can be very costly. So he wanted another car to be able to still get all the seat time that he wanted to get, but without the expense of maintaining the turbo for, if we're racing the turbo at 8 races as opposed to 16 races, it saves a ton of money on maintenance and upkeep on a car at that level. So you added that one to the mix.
Single seater, huh? And
Yep.
can you race a single seater with the regular side by sides?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. The RS1 is a.
They
is
haven't
a,
segregated those.
Depending on the series that you race, some series have a specific class for them. Some series don't. Most of the stuff that we race, we run the pro class, which is more of an open class anyway. So it doesn't matter if you're in a single seat or not.
So what you're getting at is, you guys bought another side. Well, Sean bought another side by side, so he doesn't have to bang his nice, fast, wide open car around in the northeast trees.
Correct.
Yep. Big.
Save them for the brutal rocks of Ultra 4. So.
Yeah.
Pro UTV down south.
Yeah.
I mean, those two series have become so competitive on East Coast. There's some serious competition out there at those two series. So on some of the smaller series and upcoming series, Maine is still an upcoming series, has a great turnout of racers, but we don't need a car that's built to handle King of the Hammers to race the main race. So we kind of give away a little bit of performance because the car is a little bit on the heavy side for what you need to race that race.
But you don't need to go 100 miles an hour in Maine like you do in the desert of California.
Right.
And that's
right.
That's either two different cars
or climb the rocks
or
any of that insanity that the Ultra 4 brings to the game.
Yeah, it's two different, and that's why every time an East Coast guy wins out anywhere out there, it's such a win.
Oh, absolutely.
It's such a win. Because where do we even practice out here? We don't.
No. Nope.
You can go to Marbella and pretend.
It's not even. Yeah.
Not even close.
Nope.
It's not the same rock.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. But the side-by-side racing is gonna grow so fast, I think, in the next 5 to 10 years.
It has been.
Yeah, even the past
huge.
5 years.
Yep.
It's probably what 200-300% than what it was.
Oh yeah.
But
since they came out with Polaris came out with the 1014, the market has exploded. Before that, the cars they were capable for what they were, but they're not at all what they are now.
Oh God, no.
They came out with the turbo. Can-Am came out with the X3. Yamaha has the YXZ. Articat came out with Textron came out with their version. Honda just came to the program with a new car. So everybody is really big into that, and the series just, it's one of the biggest classes at King of the Hammers. It's the, it's way bigger than the stock class, the modified, and the Legends class combined. It's a huge class out there, only to be matched with the 4400 class, and a lot of the other race series. It allows you, in the big scheme of things, when you're looking at a 4400 car of $250,000, some of these cars, independent front and rear suspensions and 800, 900 horsepower motors, all this, the technology is unbelievable on those cars versus a high level Ultra 4 UTV, which you're in the $40,000 to $50,000 range, to be on the top echelon of that group. The cars are very competitive, and the performance you get out of them is incredible at, in the big scheme of things, a small portion of the budget that it takes for a 4400 car. Not to mention, Sean and I ran most of the East Coast with the two of us, without a full pit crew, without all of that extra. Where a 4400 car, you better have complete pit crews at each of the stops, and to race a race like King of the Hammers, the extras on top of the car alone are 3, 4, and 5 times the expense. So it's just that's the big draw for it, is you can be in an extremely well performing car, extremely quick for what it is, and at pennies on the dollar compared to the big stuff.
I side by side, they're growing on me.
Yep.
But at first, when the 1000 came out, is when I started getting sour about it, because, well, there would be guys. I hosted the rock crawler with Joe Alas at Truck Fest. Me and him put together the rock crawl, and you would have these guys saying, "Oh, can I run my side by side on your rock crawl?" And I'm like, well, are you dumb? Why are you? I couldn't believe people were even asking me that question. But it's really scary because, people like me, you and Sean, you spend 2 weeks after work, after you eat dinner, laying all night on your back in your garage with a tape measure, a protractor, angles, designing your suspension in your vehicle.
Yeah.
And you do that all winter long. And then you run it all summer, figure out how much it sucks, and then do it again the next winter. And then you go to a competition and you get to compete and stuff like that. And you're one thing. And then now, for the small price of a credit check and $200 a month, you can go down and buy this vehicle, like you're saying.
Yep.
You take this Ultra 4 car and you just shrink it down. And you put it in a cookie cutter production plant with all these, FDA approved safety regulations and shit, and FDA, that's funny. But, for a payment a month in your credit, you get this race car.
Right.
It's a race car. That's a race car. You can, in New England, an 18-year-old kid can go down, have his parents co-sign, and buy a turbo side-by-side that can go over 100 miles an hour in the Northeast where we have trees.
Right.
It's insanity. I was talking to somebody. I want to host a race. I keep talking about this. I
Yep.
never dedicate to it. I'm going to dedicate to it. I want to host a race soon, and I was talking to a track owner. He's like, "Oh, what are you looking for?" So I said, I want to have, it's going to be 4x4s. I want to do a stock class, a modified, and a race car class. Very open. There'll be lots of gray area. There's going to be stock, modified, and race car. If you don't know the difference, you shouldn't be racing. Okay?
Yep.
And they're like, "Oh, okay." And then under that I said, but no side-by-sides, because I just do not trust the people that can buy these things. It's got a 5-point harness, a helmet, and I have no clue if you know how to drive that thing. But if you're Sean and you show up in your comp buggy,
Right.
I know you know how to drive that thing. Right?
Yep.
No questions asked.
Well, I will say that as far as, going and buying a race car, you've got and it's the big thing is the sanctions and the series are getting better and better with the safety equipment. There's the big thing they used to say, when they started announcing the UTV races, oh, you could run down to the dealer and buy one of these and start racing it tomorrow, add a couple of safety. Well, that's done and gone. That's years out now. In no way, shape, or form is either one of Sean's, his turbo or the 1000, remotely stock anymore.
You don't have to know that.
And but the safety equipment has jumped light years ahead as far as what's required. You actually have to put a real cage on the car. You actually have to have real harnesses in the car. And the biggest thing, especially for me being a co-driver, is the neck restraints. It's a head restraint that only allows your head to go so far forward. And that's huge because, especially for me being a co-driver, because I'm not always watching the race course. I don't always have a feel of what the car is doing. Sometimes I'm looking at the nav, I'm looking at the gauges, I'm trying to see if somebody is behind us, I'm trying to see, around, I'm trying to look to see if there's dust ahead, if we're coming up on somebody. I'm paying attention to all these other things that let Sean just drive the tires off the car. So a lot of times I don't see the hits.
You can't brace for it.
Yeah,
And
I'll get a surprise.
You got a
those
5-pound counterweight.
Those neck restraints are awesome.
So what is it?
I don't even get into the car now. It's attached to my helmet all the time. It sits right under the seatbelt. I don't even not use it.
The helmet I buy has all these things on the side that I'm assuming are for that.
Yep.
So what is it? Is it buttoned on?
It looks like it's on the back two sides. There's attachment points.
Yeah.
And depending on which safety device you're using, we use the Schroth style ones. It looks like a U that sits over your shoulders. And then from that, there's straps from that go up to your helmet. Now, the straps work in kind of like this little, almost like a pulley, not really have a pulley, but sort of a sliding thing. So you can turn your head side to side. The further you turn to the right or left, the less forward you can go because the straps tighten. There's only so much strap.
So it's attached to you.
So it's attached to your helmet and it sits on your shoulders, and your harnesses hold that down on your shoulders. So when you turn your head, the more you turn your head, the less you're able to lean forward. But even if your head's straight forward, you can only lean so far, and the straps stop you.
Is that easy so you gotta jump out and hook up the winch? Is it easy to,
leave it? I don't ever take it off.
Now that you're saying this,
so once I pop the belts off, it's unattached from the car. It's still on me.
Yeah.
So when I get back in, when I put the belts over that device and cinch the belts on, it's back into action automatically.
Okay.
So it works. It's super simple.
That sounds. And now that you're describing it, I'm imagining co-drivers getting out or drivers in the King of the Hammers footage. I'm imagining their helmets not being able to do this, and they have this going on. I'm
once you're out of the car, that's all. That's not a problem at all.
Oh man, that sounds so nice. I worry about because I don't wear a helmet in any other aspect of my life, so I put that helmet on. I'm like, oh no, oh man, this thing's just gonna throw my head down the trail if we crash. I imagine in a side by side though, you are more likely to get thrown around than in a big heavy vehicle, more often.
Well, for New England, like comparing it to what we wheel, the speed's different.
Yeah.
So when we're tooling around, even say down at Roush Creek, and you're in a full-size buggy, if you're going down one of the fire roads, you're doing 30, whatever. That's about all you're gonna do in one of those with 40s and all gear and everything else. It's not a speed demon, so to speak. Side by side on a race course in the woods, we're ripping down a race course that's only a couple of feet wider than the car on either side at 60 plus. It's the impact is just the potential for the impact is just so much higher, just because of the speed. And you don't have as much mass, which depending on how big of an object you hit may or may not make a difference. If you hit a small tree in a full-size buggy with 1 tons, more than likely you're going to take the tree down, and it's not going to really phase you too much, and especially at 30.
Yeah.
You clip that same tree in a side-by-side at 60, a lot more is going to happen.
So this is our first race, me and Greenleaf.
Yep.
You should see his Jeep, man. I was over there last week getting it ready with him, just helping him out with a couple small things, and he's gone through that thing. He's probably from the way I've heard him talk about it, and the more I look into it on the internet, it's probably way too prepared for this race. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, it's our first race, man. It's cool. We're showing up Friday. We're gonna do the pre-running then. I think you can pre-run again in the morning, actually, before the race, and then the race actually starts at like 10, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So that's gonna be cool. I don't know that one. that's so low level. There's no navigation or anything. It's just marked off, correct?
Yeah, sure.
But do you think they would give you the option, like, hey, you got this? And
I'll have it.
so
When we pre-run it, I'll be pre-running with that and having
so
notes and everything.
when you attend a race,
Yep.
you say, hey, I got this, and they can upload it. How does it work? You have an account or something? To people listening, I'm talking about a navigation app on iPad.
Yeah, so we use the Lead Nav navigation app, and most of like Ultra 4 and Pro UTV and Dirt Riot, when they go out and mark the course themselves as they're designing, once they get the course all laid out and marked, usually somebody they'll go out and run a lap or multiple laps just to make sure that the course flows. When they do that, they'll record the route on a file, a GPX file, that you can use in Lead Nav and some of the other navs, Magellan and Lowrance and
GPX
stuff.
file, so it's just a data file specifically for any nav
Correct.
system.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
So, but most of them are using the Lead Nav app to do it, which puts it not even just a GPX, but a Lead Nav specific file. So with the Apple products, I can just go over to somebody, they can airdrop me the file right there. I don't need internet, I don't need anything. Boom, they airdrop it, I get it right from them. I could send you the file right here that quick. Now I have the file of the race course.
What a world we live in, man. What the hell? What a time to get into racing. I don't know if I'm ever going to race again, but I'm excited for this race.
It's a blast. It is a blast.
I wonder if we should get that app. It's pricey.
I wouldn't for...
Maybe on the third race we'll get that app?
Yeah, I mean,
From what I hear, this race at Rush, it's very... You just go out there and do it.
Yep.
Obviously you guys have been racing. You care about racing a little more. We're just going in there to get our feet wet.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be all right. Yeah, that's cool. You got any suggestions for us? You got any suggestions for me as co-driver?
Well, and that's as for your very first race as co-driver, or both driver and co-driver, I wouldn't worry about the nav.
Yeah, I'm not worried
Because it's once you learn how to use it, and especially use it to your advantage, it's useful. Until you get there, it's more of a distraction and a nuisance that will take you away from actually helping him drive.
My big goal for this is, 1, getting everything ready to get there.
Yep.
2, being safe the whole time. Getting ready to be safe and being safe while we're driving and paying attention, learning how to pay attention.
Yep.
Because I'm going from recreational rock crawling and trail riding to this.
Right.
And so is he. So, those are 2 big goals, is just getting there, figuring out the flow of things, showing up to a race, getting ready, pre-running, all that. Don't know how to do any of that. So doing that, being safe the whole time, not forgetting to, do something stupid like buckle up.
Right.
As a co-driver, if I got to get out and do something, I got to remember to buckle back up.
Yep.
And I'm sure once he's going 40, I'm going to remember to buckle the hell up. But, so yeah, navigations. Or even notes, I'm sure isn't going to matter.
Yeah, the biggest thing is not overdrive. Take the time to pre-run. That's one thing that Sean and I have always done very religiously. We try to show up to every single race as prepared as absolute possible. So, I'll be in the hotel room after we pre-run on Friday getting that nav perfect. So Saturday in the race, it's exactly what I need it to be. But that's after, years of using that and getting it perfected to how we use it and how we can take advantage of it.
I don't think I need to worry about that yet.
No. The biggest thing for you guys would be, go out and pre-run, spend the time looking at the course and looking at different lines and different things, and then come race day, don't overdrive it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest, easiest thing, is to overdrive it, and then you make a dumb mistake and crash or break something, and now you're out of the race. If you don't finish the race, you can't do well.
That's the beauty about him racing that vehicle, is he knows it so well. I mean, you've seen him drive.
Yep.
He drives that thing.
Right.
He drives that thing, so he knows it very, very well. And we were, and just like I'm telling you here right now, we're excited to go,
Yep.
figure out how to pre-run, then check the vehicle over in a timely manner and get ready for the next day, get good sleep, come back, be
Yep.
attentive to make sure we start at the same. There's so much involved besides the actual racing
Yep.
that we need to get a handle on. So I'm sure we won't. I know him. Towards towards the end, if it's still in one piece, he's probably gonna lay into it. But it'll be towards the end.
It's going to be harder to not let the adrenaline get the best of you at the beginning of the race and overdrive it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing is get through the first lap.
Yeah.
Get through the first lap, everything will flow.
Well, it's called an endurance race for a reason.
Right. Right.
It's not a sprint. It's not a drag race. It's not any of that.
Right.
It's an endurance race. And the one thing about wheeling with him that I've always noticed, and it gets annoying. We're out here in a nice trail in New England. We're all hanging out, eating sandwiches. No one's even got seatbelts on. And this guy's, he gets so impatient with not getting seat time, he'll stop, let the crew get ahead of him, and then hammer down for a quarter mile until he catches back up. And it's like, oh my god, So I think he's gonna be psyched to get some real seat time,
Right.
Cover some ground and be able to drive for more than just 10 minutes at a time.
Right. Exactly.
So that's gonna be wicked cool to see. And same thing with me. I'm obsessed with racing, but I know I'm one of those people that if I go in, I'm going off the deep end. So I'm trying to just like, he's like, hey, you want to go drive? I'm like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure. And then, safety equipment and stuff. Yeah, that's going to be fun, man. I can't wait. That's cool. Are you guys showing up Friday or Saturday morning?
Oh, we'll be there Friday.
Yeah?
Yep.
We rented a house down the street,
So-
I guess.
We'll be there Friday, so we won't have the turbo, we'll have the RS1. Sean's wife will be driving the 1000. Sean's father will be driving his 1000 because he bought a 1000 last year. So he will be racing.
So who's co-driving what?
I'll probably be co-driving with Alicia in the 1000.
What about his dad?
We got to see, because not only do we have those two, but we also have Ben Caesar, who does our graphics. He has a turbo, and we're actually building the cage for his car right now. That's next to the RS1 in the garage, both getting cages.
So neither of the actual present race cars are even in the garage right now.
Correct.
You guys are a fucking mess.
Well, his father's car is done and in the garage, ready to go. The 1000 just needs a typical pre-race, check the bearings, check the bolts, check everything. That car is pretty much ready to go. The RS1, we're still in the middle of the initial build. And Ben's turbo, we're putting a new cage on it, new skins on it. He raced it last year at the end of the year, but we're just updating some of the stuff on his car.
He's your graphics guy?
Yep.
So does he do it professionally or
Yep.
just
Yep. Check a sign and design.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I got a guy. I don't even know why I'm asking, but I like promoting anybody that does cool stuff like that. That's
Yep.
cool.
Well, he does all the wraps, that orange
Yeah.
thunderstorm lightning bolt wrap that we have on all the cars. He does all of that for us.
So like my graphic guy, does he do signs
Yep.
and commercially stuff like that?
Yep, all that stuff.
Vehicle wraps and all that.
Yep.
That's cool. What a business that is.
Yeah.
Man, I was there just the other night picking up some stickers, and he's wrapping trailers and stuff. I'm like, man, it looks stressful, man. That's a lot of finish work,
Yeah.
body work, and like that. I'm like, oh man, when I'm welding up somebody a roll cage, it's like hard metal. I can, make it look good and
Right.
and do it over if I have to. These dude, that stuff's crazy, man.
Yep.
Those guys are nuts. Well, hey, is there anything you want to talk about? I think we covered a lot. Pretty much covered your whole life. your whole present life. All right, man. So, if anybody wants to find you, you're Competition LED on Instagram and Facebook.
Yep. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Twitter. I won't dabble my feet in that. I don't know. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
I say that it's probably just me being stubborn. It's probably great for me, but whatever.
I think right now, Instagram is good exposure, but Instagram has good exposure, but you need the followers to see what you post. If you don't follow somebody, not a whole lot of other people will see it.
I notice that it's a big hustle just to get even people that follow me to see what I'm doing.
Right.
I can do it, and I know how to do it, but man, it's a lot of work.
Right.
It's a science.
Where Facebook will give a more broad audience when you're in, some of the different
on
groups
Facebook,
and stuff like that.
I can pay hard-earned dollars to specifically show up on people's news feeds. I like that.
Right.
That's nice.
Yeah.
On Instagram, it's more of a game.
Right.
Even though it's the same damn thing, but whatever. Okay, so Competition LED on all three of those. The Racer Prep.
Prep I just have on Facebook.
Just on because I looked around just on Facebook, which is fine. It's it's whatever. It's just a link. And Sean, dude, I already forgot how you pronounce.
Sean Halleck Racing.
Sean Halleck Racing. Halleck is so much better than Holch.
Yep. Well, and it's funny because depending on what race we're at and what announcer is announcing.
Did they say Holch?
They said the first year we ran Kentucky, and it's funny because we know the announcer for Ultra 4 is Miles, and he's a great guy. We know him well now. Now that we've been at so many races and stuff. The very first race in Kentucky, I think he said his name every which version you could say his name. And after the race, he asked me, he's like, "How do you say your name?" And then he got it, and then it's always been correct ever since.
It's a lot of names. It's a lot of names. What is that? Russian? Is he Russian? What is that?
Polish.
Polish? I was gonna say Polish. I didn't want to be racist. I went right for Russian. Oh yeah. All right. Well, that's where to find you.
Yep, so it's Sean Halleck Racing on all of those, and the website, SeanHalleckRacing.com.
And if anybody wants competition LED lights installed or just purchase them, call me.
Yep.
Not him. All right, man. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. This was fun.
Yep.